Hello everybody, how are you today? Hope everybody's doing really well. If you don't know me, my name is Naomi. I'm a qualified English teacher and I teach here with Merseyside Publishing. And if this is your first time visiting Merseyside, we're a collective of teachers that are giving free lessons to people all over the world. And our aim is for you to get the highest band score possible in your IELTS exam. So yeah, you're so welcome if this is your first time. If you've been in my lessons before, then welcome back. It's great to see you here today. We normally have people from all over the world, which is really exciting. And today is part of an ongoing series. So at the moment, I'm teaching every Wednesday and Friday on common topics in IELTS. So what do I mean? I just mean in the IELTS exam, in this exam, there are some topics which always come up. So it's good to be prepared and to have researched that vocabulary for those specific areas. I'll give you some examples. Business is a very common topic that you'll be asked about. Hobbies as well. Art, last lesson we were looking at. No, I think the lesson before, we've already done art and business. And so today is my third lesson in this series, and we're looking at technology. So it's a very general topic, but we'll be looking at how to answer some of the most common questions. And we'll be starting off with some of the most common vocabulary for this topic. So let's get started. And as always, if you have any questions, you can just leave it in the comments there. That is not a problem. All right, here we go. Great. So if anybody has any questions or doubts, you can just write it in the comments there. So today's common topic is technology. Now, what kind of subtopics do you think we could have with a topic like technology? Well, subtopics might be technology in day-to-day life. So how you use it. Do you have a laptop? Do you have the newest technology, or do you just go for cheap and practical? We might have technology and the environment. So how does technology help us to overcome climate change or help us to protect animals? We might have technology and health. They probably won't ask about the current pandemic because the tests may already be written, but they might write something similar. Do you think technology can help us to find a cure for cancer, or to anything like that to do with health? What else? There are so many things. Can anybody else think of a common subtopic in technology? There are honestly so many. With technology, it's basically just anything that humans make which is kind of innovative and creative. So this is such a broad topic, and it's good to be very prepared for this, yeah, because they can ask you a big range of things. So our vocabulary that we're going to look at is quite specific to day-to-day technology. So things like, I wanted to show you my laptop, but of course I'm using it. So things like the laptop in the picture, technology that we would use regularly. So let's have a look. What do you see here in this picture? What do you see here in this picture? Just going to Actually, just going to put these on. Just let me know in the comments there if you can hear me okay. I think the microphone's been a bit too far away, but that should be a bit better. Hopefully that's a bit better for you. So, what do we see in this picture? Well, it looks like somebody's probably sending an email, right? Sending an email to someone in a different part of the world. So this image might make us think, okay, technology helps us to stay connected with the whole world. That is definitely a plus of technology. Now, the vocab that I'm looking for here is specifically, what term do we use when I send an email and I want to send a document with it, or I want to send a photo with it, some kind of file? What do we call that kind of file that I send with an email? We call it an attachment. Attachment. Yeah, to send an attachment. So let's do a little example sentence with this. As we're kind of thinking about day-to-day technology, let's come up with a sentence of something that you might do every day. So, for example, I regularly, which means very, very often or normally, I regularly send emails with attachments. Move this for you. To my clients. I regularly send emails with attachments to my clients. So what would be really helpful is, as I present this new vocabulary, you can write your own sentences in the comments. Okay, any sentence with this vocabulary, and I'll check it. So it's a fantastic opportunity to get me to check your work. Okay, attachment, what kind of word is it? It's a noun. But what is the verb for attachment? The verb is attach. So, for example, I often attach Word documents when sending reports to, or no, let's think of a more realistic one. So I could say to a student, don't forget to attach the homework to your next email. Don't forget to attach the homework to your next email. Okay, so I'm using that in an imperative kind of command. Yeah, any other questions about that, just put them in the comments there. All right, so what do we have here in this picture? Is this quite, oh, I just showed it to you there by accident. Is this quite an old school computer, quite old fashioned? No, it's very modern, isn't it? It's very modern. So what is the term we use when I have an old computer or piece of technology, have an old one, and I want to get a more recent version? I want to get a newer one. What do we call this process? We call it upgrading, to upgrade. So again, please write your sentences in the comments, and I will try to check all of the sentences that you have written. So be brave, write your sentences. I'll check them. This is a safe space. So I'll do an example to start with. I really need to upgrade my phone because my screen is cracked. Okay, that's not really true because my screen is not very cracked, but That's an example. I really need to upgrade my phone because my screen is cracked. I need to get a newer version. Okay, next one. What do we have here? So, what are all of these things? Except for the notebook, not the notebook. What are these things? Headphones, keyboard, mouse. They're all gadgets. Gadget. What is a gadget? It's just an electronic device or electronic piece of equipment. My phone, laptop, TV, these are all gadgets. Now, this word actually often comes up in the questions. So you want to really make sure that you know what this one means. And what kind of word is it? It's a noun. There isn't a verb for this word. It's just a noun, just because it means the literal thing, electronic device. So let's do an example of a sentence. I use a lot of gadgets in day-to-day life. For example, my phone, my TV, and my laptop. Great, fantastic question. Sentence, fantastic sentence. Okay, let's look at the next one. Oh, what's this guy doing? He's enjoying a nice little coffee, isn't he? Having a nice, relaxing afternoon. Maybe he's working. But what is he doing on the screen? Well, we could say surfing or navigating the web. So when we say navigate, we often mean that it shows that you understand how the internet works. So I could say, I navigate the web quite easily because I grew up with technology. Let's write that down. Say I navigate the web or the internet. I navigate the web quite easily because I grew up as a millennial. This is a good term to know. Or let's say because I still am a millennial. Or am I? I'm not sure, actually. I think I probably am. Somebody who grew up with, if you're born kind of late 90s or early 2000s and grew up surrounded by gadgets. Great. So what does the sentence say? I navigate the web quite easily because I am a millennial and I grew up surrounded by gadgets. So I'm saying, since a child, I've seen these gadgets and I understand how they work. Hi, Amire. Hi to anyone else who's just joining us. You are so welcome to this lesson. I hope it will be really helpful to you. Any questions or suggestions or examples with these words, which is what I really want from you, please write them in the comments. Next one. What is this laptop doing? What is it doing and why is it there? Well, what should you look for if you don't have Signal. What should you look for if you don't have signal? If you can't send messages, your connection is really bad, you can't phone anyone, nothing's working, you can't use Google, the internet connection is weak. What do I need to look for? What place do I need to look for? Anyone knows? Write it in the comments. I need to look for the hotspot. Yeah, I need to look for the hotspot. What's a hotspot? Just a place where the internet connection is really good. A place where the internet connection is really good. So I could say, the hotspot in this house is over there by, in the kitchen, is over there in the kitchen. Hotspot. So let's make an example sentence of this. Ooh, I've shown you the next one already. You can start thinking of your example sentences for that already. So I could say it's important to find a good hotspot in order to, so this is a cause and effect thing, so that in order to be able to work efficiently. Okay, let's have a look at that in more detail. So we've got, I really like this picture here. It kind of shows, I can imagine somebody, yeah, Amiro is saying, I think it escaped from his or her owner. I think you are right, Amiro. Or why did they put it there? It's not the hotspot, is it? This forest is not the hotspot. Good. So I could say it's important to find a good hotspot in order to be able to work efficiently. Great. Yeah, Miguel is saying we are surrounded by gadgets. We definitely are. But were you surrounded by gadgets when you grew up? If you were, you are probably a millennial. If you were born about 2000 or just before 2000, the year 2000, then you are a millennial. I'm a millennial, I think. I'm 25. So I grew up with most gadgets. I'm maybe just older than a millennial, but that kind of thing. Good. Let's hope that laptop finds its owner again, because it's not in a good way, is it? Not in a good way. Okay, who can remember what the next word was? What's the next term? I just showed it to you by accident. What do we call a very new kind of technology? Very new kind of technology. It's related to robots. And this term relates to intelligence demonstrated by machines. So you and I have what we call natural intelligence. Now, when humans, people like you and me, create robots or machines, it's not natural anymore. And it has a different name. Does anybody know what we call it? It's not natural intelligence, but artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. So, artificial intelligence, we actually have a shortening for that. We can say AI. AI, we often talk about AI. just refers to the idea that robots and machines can have this kind of created intelligence, or artificial. Artificial means created, not real or natural. Artificial intelligence. Hi, Habibor. Hi, everybody who's joined us today. Great to have you here in this lesson. If you've just joined, then welcome. Artificial intelligence. What is an example sentence that we can use with this? Well, we could say one of the greatest, or let's say one of the most, just put this in little brackets, we can say AI. Okay, so I could say one of the most significant technological developments. What is a development? It's like a change, progress. So one of the most significant technological developments in recent years has been artificial intelligence. Okay, Miguel is saying, thank you, Miguel. Miguel is saying artificial intelligence is similar to programmed intelligence. Yeah, absolutely, it is. As humans, we are programming robots or machines to do what we want them to do, aren't we? Or to, even it might go further than that, to understand algorithms, to create their own algorithms or their own formulas. They're always kind of pushing it to see how much these robots, these machines can actually do. Yeah, artificial intelligence is similar to, just make sure you say to there, programmed intelligence. And program has two M's, Miguel. Programmed. Great, thank you for that, Miguel. So one of the most significant technological developments in recent years has been artificial intelligence. What tense have I used in this sentence? What tense is this? Does anyone know the name of this tense? It's called, this is called the present perfect. So I use has been or have done, have or has, plus this past participle. I use that for something that started in the past and continues into the present. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can search the present perfect. That's the name of this tense. I'm saying this because this is one of the most common errors in my students' English. It's one of the most common grammatical errors. So I'm just giving you that little tip there. If you're not sure what the present perfect is, search it, look for an explanation in your own language. We use it all the time in English for something that happened in the past, which continues into the present or has an impact in the present. A little grammar aside there. Okay, so we've had artificial intelligence. What's next? Now, this is a very technical term for a kind of logistical term for something that you do on your computer. Okay, what do you do on your computer if you want to take something, maybe some text, from one part of your computer and move it to another part? What might I say? Good. To copy and paste, or to cut and paste. So I'm actually just going to show you what this is. This is the easiest way. So I've got my word here. Yeah. Got my word happy. I want to copy it. I right click, copy. Now I'm going to paste it here. Right click, paste. That's copying and pasting. I'm sure you know how to do it in your language. Now cut and pasting is when the word disappears. It's not there anymore. And here it is again. So cut and paste or copy and paste. Okay, any examples for to cut and paste or to copy and paste? Let's just have a quick example. I think it's always useful, isn't it? What example can we have? Let's say I could say, maybe if I'm discussing with the examiner my daily routine with technology or how I use technology in a day-to-day context, I could say very simple tools like copy and paste can save a lot of time compared to writing things manually without a computer. I think this is going to happen a lot today. Often when I'm doing topics, I'll write all of the vocab, but as I'm teaching, more vocab comes up. So, tools, what are tools? Tools are things that I can use, things that are helpful to me and that serve a purpose. So very simple tools like copy and paste can save a lot of time. They're reducing the time I spend compared to writing things manually without a computer. What does manually mean? Manually just means I do it myself. No automation, no machines, no computers. I am currently writing manually. I'm trying to move to the camera. I am writing manually. And copy and paste is a tool that can help reduce time, as opposed to if I'm writing manually on a piece of paper, it's going to take me a lot longer, isn't it? Yes, it is. Right, welcome to anybody who's joining us just now. There may be people only joining us just now, that's fine. We're doing great vocabulary for technology. So, excuse me. This one, if I remember it right, is probably the most common term in technology. What are things like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest called? What are they? They are types of social media. Types of social media. Great. Is social media plural, singular, or uncountable? It is uncountable. Okay, so I can't say I have 2 social medias. I need to say I have 2 social media accounts. An account is like a profile, or your personal your personal version of Facebook. Yeah. So I I could say I have 2 social media accounts on Facebook and on Instagram. Yeah. Okay, next one. It might also be interesting here to talk about types of social media in your country. So maybe you have certain types of social media that are popular in your country, which aren't used in other parts of the world. You could talk about that. That would be an interesting topic. Okay, this one. I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for asking. Mud Asbahad. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I'm very well, thank you. So, I feel like this picture is maybe not very useful, so I'm sorry about that. But what do I mean when I say to back up? To back up. I could say, oh, I really need to back up my photos because I'm worried that I might lose them. I really need to back up my photos because I'm worried that I might lose them. So in this case, I'm saying I need to save them in a different place. I need to save them in a different place. So on most phones, you get an option. Would you like to back up your media, your files? And you can choose to do that or not, and you can choose to use cloud services. Yeah, so often backups are done on a cloud service. This is another bit of vocab for you. What is a cloud service? It's like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive. They're kind of remote storage options on the internet. It's where you can store your files or photos or videos kind of on an internet storage system. Okay, so can anybody come up with a sentence with backup? First person to do it is the winner. The race is on. Can anybody write a sentence with the verb back up? I gave you mine, didn't I? I said about my phone. I need to back up my phone. Okay, let's move on to the next one while you're writing your verbs. To download. To download is just to take a file off the internet, save it on your own device. Save it on your own device. The good thing about learning about technology in English is that lots of these words you may have come across before because a lot of the internet and new technology uses English as the international language, doesn't it? Miguel, thank you for your wonderful contributions. Miguel is saying social media connects to people from everywhere. The distance is little. Yeah, I really like your idea, Miguel. Okay, social media is uncountable, which makes it third person. So we need to say social media connects. I'll write your word down here on the social media one, actually. Okay. Social media connects people. We don't need to, Miguel, we can just say connects people. Okay, just making this a little bit smaller. Great. Social media connects people from everywhere. Great. The distance we could say the distance becomes, well, let's say making distances shorter. Making distances shorter. So social media connects people from everywhere, making distances shorter. Just put it all into one sentence there, and made it into a process. This makes distances shorter. Okay, well done, Miguel. That was very good. Okay, we've had a good look at vocabulary now. So let's move on to writing. Writing. What are you going to have to do in relation to technology on the exam? Well, let's just remind ourselves, what is the main structure of the writing part of the exam? How many tasks do you have? You have 2 tasks. Task 1 is an essay, normally. And task 2, sorry, I'm getting confused. Task 1 is a letter, and task 2 is an essay. So this is in general IELTS. In academic, the first one is like a summary, kind of a mini essay, a summary of an article or a table. And then the second one is an essay. So you're probably more likely to get a question on technology in the second part of, in part 2 of the general, or both parts of the academic. The letter is the only part where it's normally a day-to-day context. So with a landlord or a teacher, those kinds of day-to-day communication. So this is an example of a part 2. I'm going to make it bigger for you. I know it's quite small. This is an example of a part 2 essay question. It says, many things that used to be done in the home by hands are now being done by machines. Does this development bring more advantages or disadvantages? Does this bring more advantages or disadvantages? Well, where am I going to start? If I'm given this question, first I'm going to have a think, okay, do I have a strong opinion on this? What you want to think is either A, do I have a strong opinion? And B, what is easier to argue? So I might think, okay, I don't have a very strong opinion, but I think it's easier to argue for advantages. So I'm going to argue that it brings more advantages. Then what am I going to do? I am going to write my list of advantages and disadvantages. So what's the question again? Technology at home, basically. Question says, many things that used to be done in the home by hands are now being done by machines. That's true. So technology at home, advantages and disadvantages. Let's do advantages. Okay, who can think of an advantage to having technology at home, in the home context? Who can think of an example, an advantage? There are lots of advantages. I'll start with one. Please write yours in the comments. For example, Parents now have a lot more free time, which before would be spent on cooking, cleaning, etc. Okay, so parents now have a lot more free time. What else? What other advantages? I can think of loads, so I think you can think of some as well. What about in terms of women? I think it's probably helped to increase women's rights or something similar to that, given them more personal time and time to follow their professional career. Nowadays, we often talk about how women can be independent and have a job and children at the same time. Before, we had washing machines and fridges and everything. Do you think this would be possible? Maybe not. This is just what I think, maybe. Okay, what else? What is another reason? What is another reason why technology at home could be an advantage? We could say it helps. It basically gives you more time, doesn't it? I'm trying to think of other ways to say that. We could say it increases our well-being. So because now we can maybe cook more healthily, fresh fruit and vegetables, stay fresh for longer. We are maybe cleaner, washing machines, hygiene, etc. Maybe these are just some ideas of what you could say for advantages. Let's think of some disadvantages. I want to just emphasize to you that these are just examples you can use. Maybe you agree with them, maybe you disagree. They're just examples so that you can use them to get a high band score, okay? Oh my gosh, disadvantages. Right, what are some disadvantages? Could maybe say bad for the environment. As we're using power for everything. What else could I say? Maybe I could say, again, this is not my opinion. I can see someone's put an angry face at something that I've said there. Okay, break. I could say it means we spend less time at home. So families could become weaker. Maybe. That's just many things that used to be done in the home by hands are now being done by machines. So another thing we could say A disadvantage. I think it's harder to think of disadvantages. I'm trying to think. I mean, I could say it's not as natural. Some people might argue this. We don't work as hard as our ancestors did, and these machines make us lazy. Maybe that's one argument for why technology at home is bad. That's one argument. Okay. If you can think of any more advantages or disadvantages, you can write them down. For now, though, I think we're going to look at speaking. So, one example of a speaking question that you could get is, let's have a look. Do you use any gadgets on a daily basis? Now, what does gadget mean? We did this before, didn't we? Let's check. A gadget, if you know what it is, you can write it in the comments. A gadget, it is any kind of technological equipment. So phone, laptop, TV, they're all gadgets. Okay, so let's go back to our question. This is part 1 of the speaking exam. So, do you use any gadgets on a daily basis? What would you say? It's just asking, day to day, do you use any gadgets? Do you use any technology? Yes. I could say yes. I use my phone every day. I use it in lots of different functions. I wake up by using the alarm clock, and I use the texts and phone calls to communicate for work and with friends and family. Just an example. We've got another example answer here. Let's have a look. So this student has said, yes, I do. Although I don't consider myself a geek, I quite enjoy using all the new items like laptops and smartphones. All in all, we're living in the computer age, and it's impossible to ignore cutting-edge technology. Okay, we've got some really nice vocab in this answer. First of all, he or she has said, although. So what do I know? If somebody says although, they're about to contrast two things or compare two things. So although I don't consider myself a geek, I quite enjoy using all the new items like laptops and smartphones. What's a smartphone? There's a smartphone, an iPhone. All in all is a conclusion phrase. So I'm saying in conclusion or to conclude. It's the last part of my thing. All in all is a bit less formal than in conclusion. So you can use it in spoken English. It sounds a bit more natural than in conclusion. So all in all, we're living in the computer age, and it's impossible to ignore cutting edge technology. Cutting edge, what does cutting edge mean? Cutting edge means the most modern technology. The most modern. Yeah? Okay. Cutting edge is actually a really good phrase to use. I really, really like this this term, cutting edge, and it's not that common. Not everybody knows it, so it's a nice little one to memorize there. It's a tip for you. Okay, another example question, part 1, speaking. How often do you use the internet? How often? What do they want to know? They want to know how regularly. Do you use it rarely or often? I'll give you my answer. I use the internet every day. I depend on it for my work and my social life, especially given that we are in the pandemic. Before the pandemic, I used the internet a lot too, but my usage has definitely increased in the past year. It's just an example of what I would answer to this question. Right, so we've got another example answer. What does he or she say? They've said, I use the internet every day. It helps me with my studies and it entertains me when I'm down. Surfing the internet is my hobby. I also frequently use the World Wide Web for communication purposes. Though I don't like social media like Facebook, I often use video conferencing for talking. Right, so I use the internet every day. It's a good thing to start with. You want to start very directly answering the question. What's the question asking? It's asking, do you do something regularly or not at all often? First thing you do, answer it. So surfing the internet just means looking at stuff on the internet anywhere. The World Wide Web, we don't use this term as much as the internet, but it just means the internet, doesn't it? And then though, similar to although, it's actually almost the exact same meaning, although and though. They just show that you're going to contrast two different things, maybe a positive and a negative. So though I don't like, though I don't like social media, okay, so it's kind of maybe negative, don't like it, I often use video conferencing for talking. So one thing, I don't like it, then a contrast. Despite this, I often use video conferencing. Though and although, great words to use. Okay, let's have a look at, this is another example answer, but we're going to have a look at quickly at the part 2 speaking. So who can remember, what do you have to do in part 2 speaking? Well, in part 2, you will be given a card, a bit like this one that I'm showing you here, and you will have 1 minute to prepare a talk on this topic, and then 2 minutes to give the talk. So let's have a look at what you have to do here. It says, oh my gosh. It says, describe your favorite gadgets. You should say what it is, when did you get it, how often do you use it, and say why it is so important to you. So this is very common with the speaking part 2. They'll ask you about a possession, something you have which is important to you or which you like a lot. So it's good to come up with some vocab for that. So for this one, you might, well, first of all, you want to choose something and you want to choose something that you can talk a lot about. So you might choose your phone because your phone can do lots of different things normally if you have a smartphone. And you can talk about the whole context around it. So, for example, I particularly like this phone because it was a gift from my mother or something. You can say if it's got sentimental value, I could say I particularly like this phone because I bought it secondhand and it's still working for me just as well as a first-hand phone. That is actually true. I bought this secondhand and I love buying things secondhand because I'm quite environmentally conscious. So I would probably say that in my answer. Okay, I think we're going to finish there. Let's just have a quick whiz through our word from earlier. We've got to download, to back up, to save my files, social media, copy and paste, artificial intelligence or AI, hotspot, it's where the internet is best, navigate the web, a gadget, upgrade, and an attachment. Great, so well done for today's lesson. Keep revising, keep looking for words to do with technology, and I will see you on Friday for my next topic lesson. Have a lovely day, everybody, and goodbye.